Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 8. We're going to talk about recent news, a couple of news articles in here we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get into our recent activities, and then to hype up for Endgame, we're going to tier list or talk about our ranking of the MCU movies so far. So first piece of news is that there was a brand new Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games announced. It's for Tokyo 2020 and it's going to be on the Nintendo Switch. So personally, I thought that this series was done after the Wii U, but I guess they're bringing it back for the Switch, which kind of makes sense because there is another Olympics happening, and then on top of that, the Switch is doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I never see the series ending because I think they sell a lot, don't they? Like, I think a lot of people play them. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they have, like, the iPhone versions. They have the arcade versions. Like, I play the arcade versions in Dave & Buster's. I played one that's pretty fun. But, yeah, this series is never going to die. It's just going to keep going. As long as the Olympics are a thing, I think it's always going to keep going, which is fine. I've only really played the one on the Wii. I don't remember. I think that was London, maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of these games, but I know some people might. And it's kind of cool that's, you know, coming on Switch and things like that. So, yeah, it's going to be in Tokyo. So, you're going to have those themes.
Yeah. And they're actually in, like, Olympic outfits now instead of, like,
oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, they're not, instead of their, like, you know,
normal
standard. Yeah.
So
which is, I mean, I don't know why Sonic, whatever. At least Mario isn't running around with, like, a long sleeve jeans and stuff, like, you know what I mean, like.
Mm-hmm. Sonic definitely looks a little interesting, but it is what it is.
But yeah, that's gonna be coming out. I do not know whenever 2020. No, probably 2019, right? Yeah.
Yeah, probably sometime this year. I didn't see a release date.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But yeah.
Alrighty, so for probably bigger news that kind of like dominated like the last week was what happened to like Anthem. So I'm gonna keep this a little short because this is a really long article.
Yeah, it is.
Basically, Bioware. Now a lot of people are gonna say EA. This is all EA's fault. Why like Bioware sort of like messed up and like Anthem became like what it is. But apparently it was a lot of mismanagement from Bioware themselves, and they didn't know what to do with this game. So the biggest, like, I guess, talking point is the game has been in development for, like, 5-7 years? But that wasn't really true because they really only started beginning development over the past year, really. So it started really in development, like, you know, them actually making the game in, like, 2017. So the game has only had, like, a year and a half of development time, and they only had one mission done by the time, 2018 was here. And like a bunch of other controversy, like apparently flying wasn't even in the game until EA was like, "Hey, can you make this game fun?" So then they ended up playing flying again. So yeah, basically it's just been a bunch of mismanagement. They've been using the Frostbite engine, which apparently has been giving them trouble for a very long time since that engine has been built for like FPSs and stuff like that. It wasn't meant for third-person games, and Bioware said they had trouble with this engine when they were doing Dragon Age Inquisition. Like, they used the Frostbite, and apparently, like, they were giving them a lot of problems with it, too. So I don't know why they decided to use it again. Apparently, they weren't forced to use it either. Like, they just decided to use that engine again for whatever reason. And that explains why the game has so many, like, loading screens and all that stuff, why the game doesn't look as good as the E3 demo. Like, it basically, like, this game has just not had any vision at all for it. Like, you know, didn't even decide it was going to be a looter shooter till like that last year, basically. Like, okay, I guess it's going to be a looter shooter now. And with them deciding that it's going to be a looter shooter, they decided to just not listen to anyone's feedback or like what they could learn from Destiny, because apparently you just couldn't talk about Destiny in the studio. It was just like, don't talk about this game. It's not like Destiny or whatever. So they ended up making all the mistakes and more that the first Destiny made, with like, you know, really bad loot drops, like just bad loot in general, like no content. Like they basically didn't learn anything from their competitors, and it really shows. And it really shows that this game was just like so like not ready to be made. There's just been so many issues with the higher ups and just like all the other like problems of what it wanted to be. You know, didn't know if it wanted to just be a single player game, didn't know if it wanted to be, you know, just MMO or what. So that ended up just making this mess. And, you know, it really shows because the final product is just super not good. It's just like there's so many other better looter shooters to play. You know, there's like no mission variety. There's like nothing in this game that any other looter shooter that could provide you. Like Destiny 2, Division 2, Warframe, like they're all just like so much better than this game because this game just had no vision at all. And that basically what this article boils down to is the game had no vision. It started super late in development, only had like a year really of development, and it just just like the higher ups did not know what this game wanted to be, so it ended up failing super hard, and it really shows.
Yeah, so I didn't read the full article. I don't think I did. I think I've read like maybe half or even 1/3. But the one thing that I found really interesting was the fact that like there was like this Bioware like charm sort of thing. Like they would like do or like develop a game like at like the very last minute, and like it would somehow work out for them.
Yeah.
But their luck has run out with Anthem, obviously, and with the game as ambitious as Anthem, I really question as to what they were thinking exactly. Like, how is this actually going to work with them doing it at the very last minute, and with how ambitious and how much was going on within the game itself. Them doing it like that was obviously that was obviously going to bite themselves in the foot or whatever.
Yeah, like it's basically just a big mess. And yeah, like you said, they had like some called like that magic, like it'll come together, don't worry about it. That's like if you didn't study for your test and then like the last weekend you're like, oh, don't worry, I'll get an A, and then get an F, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know what you expected there, buddy. Like like I don't know. It just seems like there was a lot of things to make this game work, but it just like ignored it all and just like followed trends to make a looter shooter and then like just call it a day. So yeah, like I don't even know. Oh, also another point is that the other team, the people who made SWTOR, which is Star Wars: The Old Republic, also made by BioWare, that part of the team was trying to give them advice on how to make like a good MMO because they made one. But the main team, which is this is like the A team that made Anthem, which is like, nah, we know what we're doing. We don't need help. So basically, they like ignored any feedback of like any other MMOs. Like they ignored like traditional MMO advice. They ignored looter shooter advice. From learning from Destiny. Like it seems like they just wanted to fail at this point. So just like I don't know what to tell them. Like it just seems like BioWare is not in a good place, and it wouldn't surprise me if like they only have like 1 or 2 games left in them before like they get shut down, because it's like this is honestly like pretty bad.
And also like the talk about like the environment within the dev like community sort of thing, like they were kind of like very down on themselves and weren't necessarily like being a cohesive team, which obviously sucks, and it definitely shows within the product. Like you were saying, them not listening to one another really hurt the game itself. So
yeah, there's basically just no communication like from anyone, and just ended up just all falling apart. Yeah.
So word of advice, if you're gonna be a game developer, it's definitely a rocky road, I think.
Exactly. You have to have good leadership. You gotta know what your game is gonna be in the first place, and like learn from what other games have done. Like don't just like block it out like, oh, we're our own thing. Like nah, just learn from what they did.
We know what we're doing. It's like, do you though? Like it doesn't hurt looking the other way in terms of like what other people are doing.
Exactly.
So there's that.
Yes.
And then we got a quick look at Avengers Endgame. Pretty much showed us a minute more of stuff kind of, and tickets went on sale. So yeah.
Yeah, we got to see Thanos. I think that was the first time really seeing Thanos in like a trailer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he has like a cool like sword thing. Like I guess the Infinity Gauntlet is just done because kind of like blew up when he snapped everything. But yeah, I think this trailer actually did a lot more to make me a little more excited, because I'm like,
to be honest.
Yeah, because again, and I feel like a lot of people have been feeling like this too. It's not just like me or Travis. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not as excited for Endgame as I was for Infinity War. Like I'm still excited to see it and see how it ends, but I feel like Infinity War was like the hype moment, and this is more like just like I want to see how it ends now. So yeah. But yeah, I think the special look was a pretty good like little trailer before the movie actually comes out in like a week and a half or 2 weeks. I don't know. So yeah,
it's like 2 weeks actually.
Yeah, like 2 weeks away, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and like just like that shot of just like Tony being like, "Do you trust me?" and Cap being like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's go." So,
they're gonna die. One of them is gonna die.
Yeah, very possibly. I know that they shot like multiple endings to like keep everyone in the dark, sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, everything is definitely under wraps when it comes to Endgame. Like, I believe that the original 6 members of the cast, like, they were all like, yeah, we haven't seen the movie yet. So I think they're all like saving it for like, the red carpet sort of thing. So yeah.
Right.
Once the movie drops, it's definitely going to take the entire world by storm, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, like everyone's gonna be talking about it and memeing about it probably. So
Yeah, finding ways to meme about it.
all right, so next we had the Joker teaser trailer, and I have to say it was really good. A lot better than the previous Joker. That's for sure. I don't think anyone's gonna argue about that. But yeah, it looks like they're doing a good job making him seem more like a tragic villain and stuff like that, instead of being like, whoa, look how crazy I am. Like, it looks a lot more sad and like creepy and stuff. And I think that's perfect. I really like the direction they're going with this movie, and it seems like DC's really getting their head together here with their movies of late. It's pretty nice to see. Yeah, I mean, anything's gonna be improving over the last Joker, though. So,
Yeah.
I think, like,
Sorry, Jared Leto, but
yeah, he was pretty bad. Even though, like, he didn't get his own movie, he was about to, but that would have been bad. But overall, yeah, I like the general atmosphere of it and everything. It was really good.
Yeah, this trailer definitely set the tone for what people should expect from this movie, and you know what, it's looking good so far. And yeah, I mean, doing a origin on the Joker in and of itself is kind of like tricky to do, but I think that what this trailer gave us is, an idea as to what they're going for, and I think that it'll do well, honestly.
Yeah, I think it will do pretty well too. Just, Joker. People
Yeah,
Joker.
also that, because like Joker's associated with Batman. There's a lot of Batman nuts out there, so
Oh yeah.
hopefully when this movie does come out, critics do receive it pretty well. But if not, that will definitely hurt the movie.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. So I normally don't do this, but we're gonna talk about some Twitter drama because this is just hilarious. So
really
Ken
good.
Penders, to those that don't know, he used to write for the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book series by Archie Comics. And I believe he was cut off either by Sega or Archie or whatever, and then he tried to sue Archie/Sega because they were still using his created characters in their comics, but without his creative input in it. So he tried to sue them. I don't think it succeeded. I think he's still battling it or something like that. Like, it's still an ongoing thing, but. He's very active on Twitter. He doesn't have that many followers, but everyone knows who he is in terms of the Sonic comic book community. So I believe it was this past week or weekend or whatever, he tweeted, "The one story I couldn't tell was Sally losing her virginity to Jeffrey. Sonic may be fast, but Jeffrey was faster on the draw in that department." And then a follow-up was that, "Isn't she a minor?" And then he said, "There are states in the U.S. where a 13-year-old can marry someone in their 40s. Yada, yada, yada. Sally was 16 and Jeffrey is 20, so I don't see a problem given the relationship in royal history." Now, obviously, the replies to both of these tweets are great. You should definitely check them out. But yeah, this is just, more Ken Penders doing some nonsense. Also, by the way, he was trending on Twitter because of this.
God.
Yeah, he was trending because of the nonsense he was just spewing out of his mouth. So I just want to know what you think, Damon, because you're sort of like on the outside of this.
Yeah, I know about this dude. Like, I don't really follow it too much. Like, I know he's like really weird, but like this is just like, why? Like, this is why Twitter could be a good thing or a really bad thing, and sometimes people gotta just keep their mouth shut when they have a thought. It's just like keep it to yourself, Like, why does anyone have to know about Sally losing her virginity? Like, no one needs to know that. Why did you have to tell us that? It's just, oh my god, dude. Like, I'm glad he's getting like blasted, but like, Jesus Christ, it's messed up, dude. You can just talk about things like that.
It's definitely just like, why would you even consider this to be like a quote unquote story you wanted to tell? And then on top of that, to make the argument that like in some states in the US 13's okay, it's like, bro, that doesn't help your argument whatsoever.
It makes you just seem so much worse. Like, what is your problem?
Yeah, and then I think like he made like a tweet later on about like some like celebrities like dating like younger people, not like R. Kelly or anything like that, but like people who Like I think he used Elvis as one of them or whatever, but
Okay.
people weren't defending him in terms of like that argument. Like he kind of just like brought it up for no reason, but Ken Penders is doing dumb shit as always. And I think that he's supposed to like release like his own comic or whatever, but he still hasn't done that yet. He's just on Twitter spewing nonsense as usual.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do nowadays.
Yeah,
right.
That was just something fun to throw in there.
Alrighty, so Marvel's next phase of movies won't include the X-Men, which I feel like is kind of obvious because they probably didn't have the rights to that when they were like they probably have all those movies right in production like full swing. Mm-hmm. So it kind of makes sense why the X-Men aren't here because they didn't have the rights to them yet. I don't know if they're gonna be like included halfway through or not halfway through it, but injected like midway
somehow
through the storyline.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna do that. But I guess we'll see. Like they could just make an X-Men movie in the next phase, but I'm not too sure.
So like right now on the Wikipedia page for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the only thing we have for Phase 4 is Spider-Man: Far From Home, which I think makes sense because everyone loves Spider-Man and they've already announced it or whatever. Or Tom Holland leaked that he's going to be in 3 Spider-Man movies or whatever. So it makes sense that they're like, yeah, there is another Spider-Man movie. But until Endgame happens, Marvel's going to be very quiet as to like what's next. Because we don't know what's going to happen with Captain America or, Tony Stark or whatever. So, like you said, it makes sense that they haven't included X-Men in the next phase. I think the most they'll do is like a post-credit scene, like teasing them. But other than that, it's going to be a while until we get a X-Men movie within the MCU.
Yeah, like again, I don't think like if they had the X-Men rights, they probably would just put them already, but they didn't. So, and they probably have all their movies being in production already and already written, so they didn't want to mess with it too much. I mean, that's my thought. But
because what's it called? Like they planned this out like ahead of time, like everything. So it makes sense that they aren't just rushing into, hey, we got the X-Men now, let's just quickly make a movie about it, or like try to draft something up. Like how are we going to put them into the MCU, which them taking their time and trying to figure it out, because the MCU is a completely different continuity to what it is in the comics. Obviously at this point it's sort of like its own thing, so them taking their time and trying to figure out how they want to put them into the MCU universe without it being too forced or not exactly doing justice to these characters makes sense.
And basically that's about it. Like they just didn't have the rights, and there you go. I mean, again, like we really don't know what's gonna happen in Phase 4, like at all. I think that's fine because they want to see if someone dies or not or whatever, because it's gonna be drastic changes. Obviously, even that, like I feel like Spider-Man Far From Home was supposed to be like it's just there. Like I don't really know. Like we just gotta see.
That movie's probably gonna be very grounded after Endgame. So
like it's probably just gonna be just a movie, Spider-Man movie, which is cool. But there you go.
And the last piece of news is that Disney Plus was announced or officially announced, and there was a lot of details revealed about it. So first up, it is going to launch on November 12th. I believe it's going to be for the US only for now. They are going to obviously branch it out to other regions and stuff like that, but for now, November 12th, I believe it's going to be North America or whatever. And the price of it, I think, is very interesting. It's going to be $7 a month or $70 a year. So that is pretty good, especially considering Netflix is like $13 a month right now, and that's like the most popular thing streaming service wise in the US.
Yes.
You
go on.
No.
I was gonna say I think it's smart for them to lower basically cut the price in half, because I feel like if they're gonna compete with like Netflix, I think having a lower price point is really gonna get them more like subs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Also, because they have a more limited library. Like they only have they have a lot of stuff, but it's still only Disney stuff.
Yeah, so it's like Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. I believe it's like Nat Geo and some Fox things.
Yeah, some Fox things too. So yeah, they have a lot of stuff, but still, I'm pretty sure Netflix still has more like genres and stuff like that. So I think it's smart for them to just cut that price in half. And
Also, Netflix can like license out to other people. Disney can't really do that on their own service. I feel like I think like Disney Plus is gonna be like Netflix or like Disney's own like sort of thing where it's like it's our stuff.
Yeah,
So
like,
we don't have like legal issues in like licensing stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So Netflix has that slight advantage of being like, hey, can you we'll pay you to have your movie on our service or whatever. So
yeah. But yeah, I think Disney Plus is gonna be good. I mean, it sucks out they ripped all the like Marvel stuff from Netflix, and that kind of sucks. I don't think the show is gonna be as good as the Netflix. Well, I mean, they start going downhill. I heard after like the first like few seasons.
Unfortunately, yes.
So maybe they could do better. I don't know, but I feel like they're not gonna be as like dark, obviously, as the Netflix ones are. And I hope they do more like different characters, because I know all the shows they announce for Marvel wise are like pre-established characters, right? Like Hawkeye or like Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff like that. So I hope we see more other characters that aren't, maybe they could just exist in that like Disney Plus universe or whatever. Like, not really like a big person. So I don't know.
Sort of like what I was hoping for like Daredevil and like Luke Cage and Iron Fist to be, but they just never, left that sort of world of theirs, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, they could probably connect them better too if they're gonna be in like the show like this. So. I don't know, but then you gotta watch movies and the show. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, especially for like normal everyday 9 to 5 people. I feel they don't have time to try to follow everything unless you're like a pop culture nerd or whatever like us. But yeah, the content that Disney Plus is going to be launching with is like insane. So Star Wars, the Clone Wars, that new season is going to be exclusive to the service. Pretty sure all of the MCU movies, including Captain Marvel and Endgame, are going to be on there. All of the Star Wars movies, the Pixar movies, some other Disney stuff in there. And then, like Damian was saying, the MCU TV series are going to be on there with Loki, and then Scarlet Witch and Vision. And then there's supposed to be a Hawkeye one, but they haven't officially confirmed it yet. And then Bucky Barnes and Falcon as well. So... yeah, and then there's a bunch of other things in here. There's going to be a Monsters, Inc. spinoff, Monsters at Work, so that's going to be very interesting.
Oh, that's kind of cool, all right.
Yeah, and then there's going to be a High School Musical series.
No, look at
that. That's definitely going to be interesting, but yeah, it looks like they have a lot of content at launch, which is good. So, because nowadays with Netflix, I'm like scrolling through it, I'm like, I still have no idea what I want to watch, so...
yeah, so I think it's good they have a lot of content right from the gate, and it's cheaper. Like, I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, especially since it's Disney. People
Disney,
love Disney. So the fact that Disney, on top of having their own stuff, they have Star Wars, Marvel, things that they've been purchasing over the years. It overall just helps.
Yep. Yeah, I think their service is going to do just fine. Like, I think it could compete really well with Netflix and like Hulu and stuff like that. So,
don't see it failing. So, let's get into our recent activities. So, I will let you go first. Good sir.
So, I've been playing Enter the Gungeon a lot because they released the final update. It included like 2 new characters, a new boss, and stuff like that. And it's all very good. It is a little buggy though, because I felt like they did kind of rush the update, just like get it out already. Well, because they want to release on all platforms, so it's like that's pretty impressive for an indie studio to release like, usually when they do this like updates for indie games, it's usually on PC first and then on consoles. So it is pretty impressive they were able to do like a multi-console like push here, but that comes with a lot of bugs. Like, I had my game crash a few times, and that's kind of annoying when it's like a roguelite and you're having a good run and then you just you lose everything. But besides that, I think the update is great. The 2 new characters they added are really fun. They have like this sort of like Eden from Isaac, where it's like you have a random starting gun, or you get 2 random starting guns, a random passive, and like a random active or whatever. And I think that's fun for like repeated playthroughs if the game's too easy for you now. Like, for me, I could beat this game pretty easily now, so I think it's fun to have like sort of like a random character. And then the second character, I don't want to spoil because it is the most broken character in the game, where basically any any gun you get can synergize. Like he has all his synergies while getting the other items to synergize with, which basically means if you have like a gun that combines with another gun, you get a new gun, right? With this dude, all you need is one of those guns and it'll synergize anyway, and it's very broken. It's really fun. It's really cool to see all the other synergies because it's kind of hard to see every single synergy in this game, so it's really fun to just blow everything away with that. Besides that, I've also been playing Dead Cells, which is again another roguelite. I've been trying to beat a lot of these because I've been kind of slacking with that. Dead Cells especially, like I always get up to the final boss and like die. Well, I was able to finally beat it last week. I beat the final boss, and now there's the hard mode, which I knew about. I know there's like 2 other difficulties, and now the game is like even more hard. I thought the game was very like harder than the average roguelike. I think this and Enter the Gungeon are pretty difficult games, like mechanically. It's not like Isaac, where I think that game is pretty easy as long as you get the items you need. With these 2 games, you actually need like skill to beat them, and Dead Cells especially. So now to just have a bunch of different enemies spawn. So you get like an enemy that only spawn in like the zone 3 now spawns in like zone 1. So like the enemy variety gets a lot harder and stuff like that. And I think that's a cool way to do like difficulty instead of just like giving everything a bunch of health and like does like one shots you. Like it doesn't work like that. Just you have more mechanics to like worry about, and I think that's cool. And besides that, I also played Midnight Ghost Hunt, which I played with Travis. And basically it's prop hunt. I mean it's prop hunt, except with the theme that the props are ghost and the hunters are Ghostbusters. Basically, you have like a proton pack and all that. And basically, if you ever play like prop hunt in like Gmod or anything like that, it works the exact same way. Where
it's hide and seek, pretty much.
Yeah, it's basically hide and seek. Yeah, if you don't even know what prop hunt is, it's basically hide and seek where the ghost will possess like some random item or object on the map, and then the hunters have to go and find them by like basically sucking them up with their proton pack. And it's very good. Obviously it's in like alpha. The game, I mean, you can't really get the key. I think the alpha period already ended, maybe. I don't think you can get any more keys because they were giving away a bunch in the official Discord. But obviously the game has some optimization issues because it's not optimized. I'm not gonna knock it for that. But besides what we played of it, I really liked it. I think they could add like more ghost classes or more items for the hunters pretty easily. They could add a lot more maps. Right now there was only like 3 maps, and all 3 were pretty fun to play as. And we were playing with an uneven amount of people. It seemed like if you have more hunters, that could beat ghosts pretty easily. If it numbers them. But I feel like the general balance was pretty good. I feel like some ghost powers are better than others. Like I feel like Poltergeist, where you could like throw objects around, is pretty good. The cloaking one is also pretty good. If you just gotta dip, you could like juke people. I feel like Doppelganger isn't that good. Like maybe with more people, because we're only playing with like 6 or something.
5
or 5. Yeah, 5. Sorry, 5 people. So I feel like Doppelganger would be better if you had more people and like more hunters are around to like sort of like trick them. But right now it just felt like you kind of just go behind someone, choke them out. But it's not like you can't really do that because he's like, oh, that's me. Yeah. I'm not. That's not me. So
it's like there's 2 TVSonics. It's like wait.
Exactly. In terms of, I personally like playing the hunters more. I find them more fun. You have a bunch of different like ghost gadgets and things. Like you have like like landmines and like grenades and like your standard gun. You have like a scanner to track where the ghosts are. And yeah, I know you also have like different perks and stuff, like different passives. So like you have less health but run faster and things like that. It is a pretty deep way to do like a prop hunt, and I appreciate definitely. That. It's not it's not like the standard just like, hey, shoot a barrel and then like just shoot it till it's dead. No, it has like a theme. It has like a theme to it and like different perks and items and stuff like that. Like I think it could be really fun if it's finished, and like because I really like what they have right now. So
yeah, definitely. One thing that I love about the game is the fact that like the props can fight back, and the hunters have so many tools to like fight against that as well. So Yeah, I really do like as to like how much they've implemented on both sides of the spectrum for if you're playing as the ghosts or if you're playing as the hunters. The ghosts, there's only 3 classes to choose from right now. I would imagine they're gonna add more because I feel like at some point someone's gonna develop some sort of like meta or whatever. Because it's so limited with the ghost where it's like poltergeist where it's like you can mess around with other objects around you to trick people, and then with the one where you go invisible, you kind of just juke people or whatever. So, and then doppelganger is kind of just like whatever to me. And then when it comes to playing as a hunters, that's also really fun because you got like multiple things to work with there. And yeah, it's just like a really, really fun game. If you're playing with the right amount of people and the right people as well, it's definitely a great time. I just want to go and see what else the developers have in store. The only bug or like problem I have with the game is, the frame rate's a little choppy.
Yeah. Like I was getting only like 30 frames, and it's very like it's not optimized basically. And people are saying that in the Steam forums, it's not really optimized, but they say optimization is usually the last thing games work on, so that's fine. Like I'm not gonna knock it too many points, but yeah, it was a little annoying, but nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah. So overall, the game is definitely very, very fun, and make sure you keep an eye out on Midnight Ghost Hunt.
Yep, very good.
Okay, so I will briefly talk about my things real quick. So League of Legends, I've actually been playing pretty well. They recently buffed Leona, so that's good.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like too crazy. They just lowered the cooldown on her E, her Xenoblade, where you go in. So, and that's the thing, you max second. So that is very, very good. So in late game team fights, you can go in more often and CC people for a little bit longer. But yeah, overall, rank is still a little bit up in the air. I feel I think it's settling down a little bit, but there are still people that are like camping in like high diamond that were like low plat or whatever last season, and they kind of just ruin your game sometimes. So I'm just kind of like whatever, can't really do much about someone having a bad game or someone being tilted. So all you can do is just report them and move on. Anyways, then I played some of Yoshi's Crafted World. I was actually hyping this game up so much, and I played it like maybe a week after I finally bought it.
Nice.
But yeah, the game is very fun still. It's a typical platformer, but I feel like it's like Kirby-fied a lot. Not to say that in a bad way, but it's like very easy, I feel.
Right.
And I don't think Woolly World was this easy, I feel. So
I was watching Woolly World, and it didn't look that easy.
Yeah. So like Crafted World is kind of just like very, very easy, but I know you can like replay the levels like going the other way or like going into the other side of it or whatever, but that's not enough for me to go back into it again and play it again unless I'm going for like 100% sort of thing, which I'm not. I'm kind of just playing it, trying to get as many collectibles as I can and just try to have fun. But it's definitely very, very easy, I feel. So not exactly sure if it'll jump up in difficulty anytime soon, because I really hope it does, because I'm kind of just like blazing through the game when I'm just playing it. So then I watched Shazam, which is by far the best DC EU movie so far. Not just because it's not like, how do I say this? Wonder Woman's good. It's just that everyone complains about the like Act 3, which is understandable because that last act is just a clusterfuck, honestly.
It is. Yeah.
But with Shazam, everything's kind of balanced. Some people complained about the pacing of it, which is understandable. Some parts kind of drag on for a little bit too long. But, this is a 13-year-old kid, becoming a superhero out of nowhere. And they do explain it pretty well in terms of, like, the Shazam lore. And, the villain is really, really good, honestly, because, they build him up very, very early on, which is, something that Marvel's done recently with Thanos and Vulture and stuff like that. So it definitely does make sense for them to, take pages out of their book, be like, hey, we should build up a villain to complement our hero extremely well, which they do that in Shazam. So really, really liked it. Yeah, just wondering what's the next move after the Joker movie. So
yeah, I mean, I'm glad they're like like I said before, really getting it together now, which is nice because DC hasn't been too good with their movies, so it's good for them to actually have like a good streak. Well, I guess good movie.
Gooder streak. But yeah. So lastly, we're going to talk about our Marvel Cinematic Universe tier list. So instead of like ranking the movies from like 1, 2, 3, we've kind of just put them into like tier lists. So we've ranked them from S, which is like top tier, all the way to D. So I'm going to go first real quick. So my S tier is Captain America Winter Soldier, Avengers Infinity War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, and then A tier is Ant-Man, The First Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and then B tier I put Iron Man 3, Captain America The First Avenger, Hulk, Iron Man 1. C tier is Avengers Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Thor 1, and then D tier I put Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 2, and Thor The Dark World.
Yeah, so for me, I put, for my S rank, I put The First Avengers, Avengers Infinity War, Winter Soldier. For A tier, I put Civil War, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Guardians 1, and Ragnarok. For B, I put the first Iron Man. I put Guardians 2, Doctor Strange, and I'm sorry, I was looking at my other monitor because I had it.
No, it's fine.
I was moving away from the mic. And which got Captain America 1. For C tier, I put Ant-Man, Hulk 1, and Thor 1. For D tier, I put Age of Ultron, Iron Man sequel, so 2 and 3, and Dark World. And I haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp or Captain America.
Or Captain Marvel, you meant.
I'm sorry, Captain Marvel. That's what I meant.
All right.
So okay, I guess I'll explain my list. I had more things on S rank, but I guess for me, like I had two choices for S rank. Either put what I feel is the best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or what's good as like a standalone movie. So I kind of just put just what's the best for just like the cinematic universe. So that's why I put like the first Avengers, Civil War, and not Civil War, Winter Soldier, and Infinity War, because I feel like those are the best, like sort of like leading up to events. Like the first Avengers was like, yo, this is awesome, and then Infinity War was all the movies finally starting to pay off, and then I just really like Winter Soldier, and I feel like there's a lot of points in it that connected to a lot of other things as well. For for A rank, I kind of just put, these are like movies that would have been S rank, but I put them on A rank because that list was starting to look a little like a little blank there because I had like everything in S rank. So I ended up just putting like Spider-Man, Guardians 1, Black Panther, Ragnarok, and Civil War. But I feel like with S and A, they're kind of just like together. You kind of just put them together at that point.
Kind of.
Those are like just the best. Like those are like the ones I really see as the best Marvel has to offer. And from down is just like whatever. Guardians 2 I thought was alright. Iron Man 1, started the whole thing, so it kind of just, I felt like I had to put it above a C. Doctor Strange, origin movie, and then the first Captain America also origin movie, and from down there it's just like bad sequels or just okay origin movies. So that's about my list. Yeah.
All right. So when it comes to me, I actually rewatched a lot of these movies recently, so I'll explain my tiering with those. But overall, when it comes to like S and A, yeah, they kind of are like grouped up together because like those honestly are like some of the best MCU movies, by far. So Winter Soldier is my number one, honestly, just because it took the Captain America character from, his first movie in Avengers and kind of just like, showed us exactly what Steve Rogers is all about. And, it's honestly also just like a good like standalone movie. I feel like you don't have to watch Captain America or the first Avengers to really know exactly what Steve Rogers and Captain America is all about. You kind of get that vibe throughout the movie, and also it's just like a good action movie as well. Infinity War, like you said, it's literally the culmination of everything we've seen so far, and it finally pays off in this one big movie where, half the characters get turned to dust, but, that's the way it is. And then Spider-Man Homecoming, obviously this version of Peter Parker / Spider-Man is not a traditional version of Peter Parker / Spider-Man. It is very different from what we've seen so far within the comics, the games, the whatever. This is very different because his mentor or person that he kind of looks up to in this version of Spider-Man is Tony Stark, which some people, may dislike, but personally I think it really fits well with, this Peter Parker, because, he's been growing up and seeing, the, attack on New York and everything like that. So, him having Tony Stark slash, the whole Avengers cast that he looks up to is kind of what Peter Parker slash Spider-Man was all about back when he did come out in the 60s or whatever as a superhero. And then Civil War, that is just a good, action movie as a whole. And also it introduced, two characters really, really well, Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then Thor Ragnarok, at this point, Kevin Feige and the rest of Marvel kind of realized that we kind of just need to have Thor as a joke character, because they've been trying to take him seriously for his first two movies, and that kind of didn't work, especially with Thor the Dark World, which is very forgettable and not exactly all that exciting. So with Ragnarok, they kind of meshed a Thor story along with Planet Hulk, and it really worked. And it's just a funny movie as well. Honestly, it can be a comedy movie.
Oh yeah, it's really funny.
So, and then when it comes to A tier, Ant-Man, I just love that movie for some reason.
I also like Ant-Man. I think would I have it in C tier? I have it on C, but that could be a B tier movie for me. I also liked it a lot. I didn't know you put it that high.
Yeah. But Ant-Man, I just love that character, and what Paul Rudd brings to that character is just great.
Yeah.
The first Avengers movie, I still remember seeing that movie, and I was just wow, that was great, that was awesome. Yeah. And from that point on, I kind of became a huge MCU nut after that. Obviously I did watch all of the movies before them, but I was very casual about it. Yeah. But after Avengers in 2012, I was kind of just yep, this is it. This is gonna be really, really big and really, really cool to see and watch all of these movies, which is really awesome. The fact that we live in a time like this where Marvel is doing something as big as the MCU is. Oh, yeah. And then Guardians 1, I think that this movie, no one expected it to do well at all, but it just surprised everyone with how good and how funny it was, and it was just overall a very pleasant surprise for the MCU. Black Panther, that is a solid MCU movie, I would say, except for the fact that oh no, Black Panther died, but it's he's in Endgame, or he's in Infinity War, guys, come on, yeah. Sort of thing. So, and then Captain Marvel, despite what people may say, I think that those people are being a little bit too critical, or they have their own opinion and their own view of how that movie is. But Captain Marvel, I thought that was a great origin story for the character, and I cannot wait to go and see what she does in Endgame, just because of how they introduced the character and how she got her powers and all of this other stuff. And then B tier, I actually moved up Iron Man 3 from the last time I had it. I think I had it all the way at the end of my B tier, but I actually moved it up because I watched it last night. Honestly, this is the best Iron Man movie, just because it really goes into Tony's character after the Battle of New York. Everything about Tony's character is, jumped up, a lot within this movie. It really does look at his character and as to what he is, and not just these suits or whatever. Those are merely a extension of him. Also, the villain Killmonger, goddamn, the Mandarin. Yeah. So I think a lot of people really hate this movie just because of that whole twist with him being an actor or whatever. Yeah. But personally, that was really good. That was honestly a really good twist that I still remember walking into the theater for that movie, just because it was so late at night when I saw it. And that twist as a whole, I was just I really don't mind this. Probably because I didn't read the Iron Man comics like so many people have. But even then, you still have to realize the MCU is its own thing. And on top of that, the villain behind Killmonger was also built up from the beginning of the movie. He was a huge fan of Tony Stark during the 1999 New Year's Eve party. And then, he kind of got, shafted aside, and now, he was back, and then he did all of these Mandarin things, and, made it. It honestly all made sense. Also, Shane Black as a director, he knows when to put action in, when action needs to happen and stuff like that. So really do like Iron Man 3. The first Captain America movie. This one, I was honestly really surprised with how much I liked it more when I watched it, just because, I now know what his character's been through so far afterwards, after everything that happens, within Infinity War and all of this other stuff. So watching the first Cap movie was like, really, really good, just because you get to see as to where he comes from and all of this other stuff. The Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton, despite him, being in this one MCU movie, I still really like him as the Hulk. Also, I just have a lot of nostalgia for this movie as well. And then Iron Man 1, it's the thing that started it all. It's definitely very, very campy. It's not, taking any risks just because it is the first MCU movie and they want to, first step in the right direction sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
C tier, Age of Ultron. Yep. The more you watch it, the more I'm kind of just like, yeah, this is pretty bad. Doctor Strange, I only put it in C tier just because I watched it once and I was kind of just like not blown away by it by any stretch of the imagination. So I was kind of just like, yeah, whatever. I recently just rebought it on Blu-ray or bought it. I didn't rebuy it. I just bought it on Blu-ray just because it's not on Netflix anymore. So I need to, rewatch it to exactly see like how I feel about the character. Because I really liked him in Ragnarok. He was a very funny character in there. And obviously Infinity War, he did his job. Guardians 2, I don't know. I feel like that movie really left a bad taste in my mouth after seeing it in theaters, because I was kind of just like, that wasn't as good as the first one. But maybe, it is still, a pretty solid movie when I rewatch it again one of these days. And then Thor 1, it's Thor 1. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on the sequel to one of my favorite movies in the MCU, but I just feel like that this movie's like third act was just all over the place. Like it really just didn't make sense at the end. And then Iron Man 2 and Thor 2, I really don't have to explain those. Honestly.
Yeah, everyone knows. That's like in the bottom of everyone's tier list.
Yeah, because like Thor 2 doesn't do much other than Loki dying, and then Iron Man 2 is kind of just like, hey, here's War Machine and Black Widow. Woo! I think that was about it. And then where's my blood? So
yeah,
that's about it. So yeah.
Is
there anything else?
No, not really. It's just with the thing with Guardians 2, I will say probably doesn't get better in the second watch. I actually think it got worse in the second. Like I actually liked it quite a bit when I first saw it, and then after the second time, like I don't really know. But I still think that the first Guardians is fantastic, but I feel like the second one was, it was alright. Yeah,
overall, guys, like all of the MCU movies are, good to some degree as like, a average movie, but in the context of the MCU is what we're listing these off.
Yeah, like right. I again ordered my list like, started differently. Like I just put like what was like sort of like the S rank was just like what's important as for all these movies in general, like they're all leading up to these type of movies, and then my A ranks were just like, hey, these are the movies I personally enjoy and stuff like that. So
because like overall, like if you watch Civil War and then skip the solo Spider-Man movie and then jumped into Infinity War, you probably still liked Peter Parker in those movies overall, Yeah. So, but yeah, that is it.
Yep.
Right?
I think that's it.
Okay, so that is it for the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 8. We will see you guys 3 weeks from now from the next episode, because 2 weeks from now is Endgame, and, I want to give me and Damian some time to watch it. So, yeah, we will see you guys on May 3rd or May 4th, whenever you're listening to this. So, we'll see you guys then.
See you.